Imagine waking up to the terrifying realization that every single dollar in your wallet is actually a financial time bomb that started ticking over 100 years ago, specifically on a ghost-like island off the coast of Georgia called Jekyll Island in November 1910, where 6 of the most powerful men on Earth, including Nelson Aldrich and Henry Davison, along with the secret agent of the Rothschild Empire Paul Warburg, met in total darkness under fake names, as if they were performing a demonic ritual to engineer a global prison called the Federal Reserve. And if you want to survive this financial apocalypse, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications, because what I'm about to tell you is something they will try to delete from the internet. These men didn't meet to save the economy. They met to build a human meat grinder designed to extract your life force. And in 1913, while the public was distracted by Christmas lights, they bribed Congress to pass a law that surrendered the nation's sovereignty to a private banking cartel. And this was the exact moment the IRS was unleashed to tear through the working class under the fake slogan of social justice, while monsters like John D. Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan made sure they had secret back doors to protect their own billions, leaving you trapped in an income tax cage that gets tighter every time you work harder. And when World War I broke out in 1914, these architects realized that human blood was the perfect fuel for their printing presses. So they jacked up taxes to suicidal levels to fund the killing machines in the trenches of Europe, turning the sweat of a farmer in Texas into artillery shells that vanished into thin air, leaving behind mountains of debt that were mathematically designed to never be paid off. And honestly, if you haven't subscribed yet, you are missing out on the only way to track these elite moves before they happen. So, do it now. They are using a dark magic against you, called bracket creep, where inflation steals the value of your time, and then the state forces you to pay a higher percentage because your digital salary went up, while your ability to buy a loaf of bread is dying. You aren't a human to them. You are just a power cell being drained dry inside a dark financial matrix. And after they toasted their victory in 2 world wars, the high priests of finance met again at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods in 1944, where they sat in smoke-filled rooms to link the fate of humanity to the dollar, promising the world it was as good as gold. But it was just a long-term trap, because on the dark Sunday evening of August 15, 1971, the mask finally fell off the ugly face of the system when Richard Nixon appeared on television to announce from Camp David the assassination of financial truth by severing the link between the dollar and gold. And at that exact second, the world turned into a forest of digital illusions, where the money you spend your life chasing is just scrap paper with no value, other than the will of the masters in New York and London. This was the original sin that allowed them to print trillions out of thin air, which literally means stealing years of your life with the push of a button. And every time they print a new bill, they steal a piece of your children's future. And seriously, if you are still watching this and haven't liked the video or subscribed, you are leaving yourself wide open to the propaganda. So join the resistance by clicking that button right now, because inflation isn't an economic phenomenon. It is a weapon of mass destruction, designed to turn the middle class into a herd of debt slaves. And look closely at the 2008 massacre when Lehman Brothers collapsed in the heart of Wall Street. That wasn't a mistake. It was a sacrifice to trigger the biggest heist in modern history, where you were forced to pay for the gambles of banks that were called too big to fail, while billionaires celebrated with bonuses on their yachts in Monaco, and families in Florida were thrown into the streets as their homes were confiscated in cold blood. And now, as we see the U.S. national debt screaming past $36 trillion in the year 2026, you must realize we are in the final countdown because the system is eating its own tail, and it is ready to burn the entire planet in new global wars, just to delay the moment of reckoning. They don't want you to understand the trick. They want you scared and addicted to cheap consumption, while every loan you take is another nail in the coffin of the freedom that was sold in a secret auction at Jekyll Island. And before we get to the final stage of this nightmare, make sure you share this video with everyone you know, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive into the shadow government. Because we are now reaching the terminal phase of the slavery project, where they are preparing to close the digital dungeon with a demonic intelligence. The enemy isn't chasing you with whips anymore, but with computer codes. And the only solution that makes their thrones shake is for you to own real assets outside their grasp, like gold, which is the blood of the earth, or Bitcoin, which erupted as a cosmic scream of rebellion in 2009 by the ghost Satoshi Nakamoto to threaten the fortresses in Washington and Frankfurt. But beware, because the empire is preparing the final blow through central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, which is not a technological advancement but an electronic shackle that will stay on your wrist forever. Imagine a system that knows every breath you take, what you bought and where you hid, and it can literally delete your money. If you dare to disagree or think outside the box they want for you, they will know more about you in the halls of the IMF than you know about yourself, and they will use programmed inflation to evaporate your savings in a second. If you don't follow the digital citizenship rules they created, it is a financial apocalypse that will end the concept of private property forever. History is repeating itself in a nightmare version, because what Nero did to Rome by debasing silver, the technocrats are doing today by debasing digital code. We are in 2026 and time is running out like a burning fuse. So you either escape now toward decentralized sovereignty and hard assets, or you surrender to be just a serial number in the records of the new global slaves. They want to strip you of everything, even your ability to dream of a different future, turning the planet into a giant prison under the watch of satellites and AI algorithms that never sleep. The collapse isn't coming. The collapse is already here, and it is crawling slowly to absorb what is left of your dignity. The real question isn't if you will survive, but will you have the courage to break the programming and escape before the digital iron doors lock forever? So, subscribe now, turn on the bell, and start building your ark, because the light you see at the end of the tunnel is just the debt train coming to crush everyone who stayed on the tracks.